Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boat Talk, the second edition of our talk show. And today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. And as usual, I'm your host, Kojo Enchi. And I promise you, by the time we are through, you're going to get a lot of information to take home with you. Today, I'm here in the studio with a gentleman that does not need a whole lot of introduction because he's all over the place. I'm sure most of you may have seen his reels on Instagram and what have you. He is in the person of Maxwell Emisa. He is going to be my guest today, and I don't want to do too much talking, so I just pass on the baton to him, and he can do his own introduction. Mr. Emisa, welcome to the studios. This is Boat Talk.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you too, sir. And in the meantime, I just need you to tell our viewers who you are.
Okay. So my name is Maxwell Amisa. I go by Mos D on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm also a student dentist, third-year student dentist. I think it's fun, trying to balance school and being a fitness enthusiast. And, I'm glad to be here. And thank you for tuning in, too.
All right. Thank you so much for joining Boat Talk. And I'm glad that you say you were a student dentist, right?
Yes.
I got a whole lot of problems. So I'm going to put your phone number on speed dial. So if anything, I just holler at you and you can take care of my tooth for me, right?
Yeah, I'm down. Just give me a call.
All right. So today we have a very interesting topic that we want to go ahead and discuss. And we're talking about dating apps.
Right.
And how that is affecting or influencing relationships of today. And you being the subject matter expert. Me, I'm too old for these things, because I remember back in the 1600s, I wasn't born then, but hey, back then things were just going on. It was a traditional way of, hooking up with people or just meeting up your spouse.
Right.
But these days it appears everything has evolved because it started with the newspaper where they put, they kind of like devoted a session for dating and stuff like that. I remember back in Ghana, they were doing that. There was a newspaper called PMP. If you ever remember that, those things were going on inside the newspaper, and then the internet showed up.
Right.
In the 1990s, and everything just changed. Now everything is so much evolving, and with the influx of AI and new technologies coming up, I think things have just gone haywire.
Yeah.
I just want you to tell our audience a little bit about dating apps and how it actually affecting relationships of today.
Yeah, so I think dating apps in general, they're good. You would think it brings us closer to more people. You get to meet people easy. Back then, like you said, it was more of you would meet people in your neighborhood, your work. But now dating app is like you get to meet a lot of people just by being online. And I think that's one of the great things about it. But also, it has become like a mindless swiping app. There are different kinds of dating apps out there. There's Tinder, which is like the generic dating app where you swipe left and right. And there's Bumble, there's Hinge. So even though it has brought people like closer, but the issue is that when people have a lot of options, they're not going to make a choice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so dating apps are great, but the problem, and it's mostly the men that are struggling a lot, because men don't get a lot of likes, so the competition is high. Back in the day, like you said, it would be you competing with the people in your neighborhood or your workplace, but now it's like you're competing with everybody around the world. So that's the problem, and it's mostly guys who, get the short end of the stick.
Okay. So don't you think this is actually helping in some way? Because I remember in my days, and I always use me as an example because I can speak to the issue from my own lens, better than somebody else's perspective. In our neighborhood, if you like a girl, you got to go talk to them.
Right.
Get to know the person more. And it is up to them based on your approach and how you say things. Then they will agree to tag along with you or not. There's even times where we have to jump over walls to go to their houses. I remember one time I jumped over a wall and the dog was right there. Dad was just sitting there with the dog. And the moment I jumped, the dog was just, right there. and I couldn't even move. I just froze right there. But like these days, it's not like that, and you find yourself, thinking that if I'm dating somebody or I'm just gonna go ahead and approach somebody, it's only within a small geographic confines.
Right.
But now with these apps, you can just go even international boundaries.
Exactly.
Go over the Atlantic Ocean to just look for love elsewhere.
true, yeah.
So don't you think that in that aspect is actually helping for people to broaden their horizon when it comes to dating?
Yes, I think it's helping, but it's just the fact that, as much as it's helping, it also has this, this thing about it where, like you said, back then, you get to meet somebody, you talk to them, you get to really know them in person. But dating apps, you only go up with, the pictures. You're just looking at pictures, you just swipe, and, you just, if you like what you see, then that's where your interest is coming from. So people are making judgments based on physical appearance, first of all, So you've never met the person, so all you got to go off is their physical appearance. And so based on that, they'll either ignore you or like you. So I think one of the big disadvantages is people are not taking time to get to know other people. Like you said, back then you used to do it in person. Now
That's
it's
right.
like, yeah, I'm not feeling it, then yeah, I'm moving on to the next one. So that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of options. So why waste your time on one that you feel like, I'm not really into it? Then you want to move on to the next one. So I feel like people are not taking their time, to get to know people. They feel like, oh, they're just one swipe away from the next person.
That's
know?
right. You just
So,
slide into their
yes,
DM and
exactly. Nobody's taking time to know anybody.
yeah, that's right. So on the flip side, I'm also saying that this could be a tool of deception
Right.
in the sense that people don't actually paint a good picture of themselves when they go on dating apps. Because, for instance, I like to look good on camera, right? But then I post all these pleasant stuff, just try to appear flamboyant. But then when you see me in person, you're like, damn, was that you? I've heard stories.
Right.
I've personally never experienced that for myself because I've been married for longer. I've heard stories where people actually met the people that they said they were seeing on the dating apps and they happened not to be them. I've seen people also posting pictures that are not them on dating apps just to attract or woo somebody to them. And then when they finally get to know them physically, everything turns sour. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, so I think that's a big thing that happens all the time. And back to that, they have a term for it called catfishing.
Catfishing.
Yes, that's the term.
I like
for it.
catfish.
So that's the term for it, catfishing. So
Okay.
basically, that's when, it comes in all forms. It could be the person, it could be the physical appearance. They will post a picture of them looking very skinny. Like a picture about 5 years ago, but then you see them in person and they've gained weight. That's a form of catfishing.
So that's I don't mean to interject, but it's just putting the bait out there, like so
Exactly.
the nice pictures they post online, it's just some sort of a bait
It's
to
a bait
attract the
to
person.
attract you, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you can imagine, like you said, dating app has its own, good sides. But imagine being catfish. You set up a date, you show up, only to find out, they look nothing like who they said they were. And sometimes it can get extreme. People will actually post pictures of other people. Like it's totally not them. Somebody else. They'll just put their picture on there.
But why would they do that though?
I mean, that's the thing, because it's like people are not taking their time to know other people. So in order for you to be seen, you want to portray, you want to do some, like take it to a level where you are not yet, So you want to portray yourself as this highly attractive person, just so you can also get some attention on there. So I think that's why people do that. And I mean, sometimes it can be risky, Like you said, some people are hiding under the disguise on dating apps. And there's been some situations where people have actually gotten into danger, just because they thought they were meeting somebody good. But
yeah. I heard about Craigslist,
Right.
stories and stuff like that. Yeah, but then I just want you to speak to the aspect of positivity on
Right.
this, because it appears that the traditional way can actually cost you more money. For instance, if you really, really want to impress a girl, you got to take them out, right?
Right.
And you got to sit them down, buy them food, or maybe some fancy drinks, take them to a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Or where I come from, they want cash. Especially these ladies, once they come visit you or you go meet them, you got to give them something.
Right.
And kind of like a down payment, sort of, to open the door, for you to get in. But in this day and age with the dating apps, you don't even have to pay anything. Just the proximity and the convenience of
Exactly.
it. Because I can just, click on a picture
Right.
if I think I like the features. I just go for it.
Yeah.
Don't you think that is actually helping rather than doing more harm?
I would say it helps in many ways, especially in the life in America, it's mostly your work,
Yeah.
then, your home. So you don't really get to meet a lot of people. I'll say the average person doesn't really go out as much. So usually it's work, then you're back home, So the best way to meet new people would be on a dating app, And, I've heard stories people have married. There's been long-term marriages that came from dating apps. And also, you get to meet people, and it's not just for dating. You can network. If you have
Yeah.
some of the dating apps have a section where you can, set up a business and network in terms of business. So it has many advantages. There's been people who have married from meeting on dating apps.
That sounds great. I
Yeah.
think I've heard stories from eHarmony and stuff like
Yes.
those,
Like
like
Match.com,
legacy dating apps and stuff
Right.
like that. People actually tell great stories about them. But I just want us to switch gears a little bit. I want us to talk about the impact of dating apps on the mental health.
Yes.
And I have some stats here that I want to just peruse through. It says that with the increased use of dating apps, there is increased experiences of rejection. This study was done by Tyson et al. In 2016. They found out that about 50% of matches on dating apps do not message back. Dating apps dehumanizes the experiences of meeting others to the point that they allow someone to reject another person, even be cruel to the other person without having to see the other person's reaction. And it says that people who are using dating apps report demoralizing experiences such as in-person experience of other being widely different from their online personality. Just like we just said, right? If I happen to see a whole different person as opposed to what I saw online,
Right.
that can basically demoralize you. So
Exactly.
what's your advice for the young folks that are coming up as far as dating apps and mental health is concerned?
I think unfortunately, with younger guys, they don't know much about the dating experience. So, but back to what you were saying, when people just ignore people or just reject them, they have a term for that called ghosting.
Ghosting.
So that's when you start talking to somebody like the first few days, and then all of a sudden they just disappear.
Oh, wow.
They don't reply or text. That's it. They don't text you back again.
That can actually weigh a heavy toll
Exactly.
on their mental health.
Right. So it's like, okay, you were talking to this person, you invested your time in texting, calling, and then out of nowhere they just stop talking to you,
Yeah.
without any explanation, nothing. So
That's
it
right.
will leave you wondering, what did I do? What did I say wrong? So you
Yeah.
become this self-conscious about your words. And if that happens too many times, you tend to have some sort of resentment, and you might even send an inappropriate message to the person for not replying
Yeah.
your last
Yeah.
text. So I think, yeah, it definitely takes a mental toll sometimes, and people can feel a sense of rejection on there, and it happens a lot. You'll get rejected, people will ghost you. So I think it takes a lot. So for the young people on dating apps, I think my advice to them would be to go in and be outcome independent. Don't expect too much. Just kind of get to know the person. And usually the signs are always there. You can tell if they're really into you, they want to get to know you. You can tell if they are sending you paragraphs or if they are sending you one-word responses. That's always the tell signs. It tells you, am I wasting my time, or, is this
Typing
going
his whole
anywhere? Yeah.
notes and
'Cause
just one sentence.
Exactly. If you say, how are you doing, and they respond good, that right there is your sign that
That's right.
you were
It's a
about to
red
waste your
flag.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, new people on dating apps should just keep an eye out for that. Always watch out for the red flags. And be outcome independent. Don't think everything has to go somewhere. Just see how things
Yeah.
go from there.
Okay. And then I think from to your point, it basically can actually, you know, dissuade people from getting into dating in the
Right.
future because they had a
Exactly.
bad experience,
Right.
a prior bad experience, so they don't even want to start again. So I think you have a good point out there. But I believe in all these, we can also come to the conclusion that in the end, it's all about education,
Right.
right? Because anything that you set your mind to, if you want to really do it well, you're gonna have to do some more research.
Exactly.
So it's with dating, whoever is the person that you're trying to get connected to, you're gonna have to spend time and study about them.
Exactly.
Unless they're lying to your face. Like we are saying right now, if you're not getting the factual facts, then there's nothing that you can actually do. So yeah, I think it's also okay for you to do some extra research
Right.
on a person before you actually
Exactly.
get your head to it. Because a heart broken cannot be
Right.
mended.
Yeah.
I can promise you that.
Yeah, and like I always tell people that the best way to go about everything is to work on yourself. Improve yourself. Focus on yourself growth. And that doesn't just mean fitness. A lot of guys, when you tell them, hey, improve yourself, they think you mean go to the gym. It means improve yourself in all areas in life, your fitness, your social life, your career. Just try to move up in your career. I feel like if you work on yourself, you become attractive.
That's right.
So talking to people, you're gonna be more outcome independent because you know what you bring to the table. So your mindset will be, okay, I'm trying to invite somebody into my life. What are they gonna add to my life? So I feel like if you improve yourself, you'll be fine.
Okay. So do you think the inferiority complex has anything to do with when people get rejected? Because there are some people that don't even believe in themselves.
Right.
They think that, hey, let me just go give it a shot. And someone comes along and then they reject them. They feel like that's the end of the world.
Right.
So people like that are emotionally attached to situations like this, what's your advice for them?
Um, I would say they should take some time out and maybe work on themselves or maybe talk to somebody, therapist, because it can take a toll on your mind when you
Yeah.
keep getting rejected. And I've heard stories about guys they kept getting ghosted and eventually they would just delete the app and tell themselves, okay, they're not gonna date anymore. They're done dating because there's no point in doing it. So I think if it takes that mental toll, people should just take a step back, get off the dating app and focus on themselves. Because with time, you won't have to deal with people ghosting you and rejecting you. So you can build back your self confidence. So I
Okay.
think that would be a great way to go about it.
All right. So I just want you to go deeper into some of the tips
Right.
that you can give for people to have a better mental health while they are using dating apps, because I think we are just scratching the surface.
Right.
There are deeper things that can happen when people get rejected
Yeah.
online, because I understand it happens a lot. And there was a point in time somebody actually talked to me about getting hazed online as well.
Oh, wow.
All because somebody that she was trying to get hooked up to was an Asian guy. And this is not a swipe at Asians or anything of that sort. This is just an illusion. The person said, "Oh, you look like a monkey."
Oh, wow.
And
That's
that
crazy.
was the whole thing.
That's crazy.
This kid will not even eat for days. And if it wasn't for some sort of intervention, it would have gone down south. So, what are some of the tips that you can give to these, especially the ladies?
Right.
Because they are the ones that get really affected. Me, as a guy, you tell me I look like a monkey, I don't care. A
Exactly.
man must be ugly and fearful. And if possible, a smell of alcohol. So they say back home though. But for the ladies, because they are so emotionally attached, it affects them big time.
Right.
So I just need you to advise them, and give them some of the tips that they
Right.
need to use while using dating apps for their mental health. Yeah.
So I think the first thing, dating app is just like any social media app. And what we tend to see is people spend a lot of time on social media, and that in itself can cause some sort of depression, and you know it can literally distance people from the actual world because all the world lives on their phone. So I would say the first thing is for most people, most women, to not be on the app all the time. To be on it for a few minutes, then get off of it.
That's right.
And always watch out for the red flags. That's a big thing. If you're talking to somebody and you say hi, how are you doing, and they just say good, that's a red flag right there. Don't invest your time or your energy into that, so you can save yourself, you know, uh, being ghosted later on and having to feel like you wasted your time. And also, I feel like when you get on there, try to look your best. Make sure you work on yourself. Don't just post any picture thinking, oh, because the whole, as sad as it sounds, the whole thing about dating app is physical looks. That's
right.
what people see first. So I would say also try to, make sure you take great pictures to increase your chances of matching with people, and be outcome independent, going with that mindset that, hey, I'm going with who wants to talk to me. I'm not gonna stress or worry about somebody who is not trying to talk to me.
Okay.
And I feel like if the people do this, then they can definitely distance themselves from the app. That way it doesn't get to a point where they are mentally drained and feel like they're being rejected. So it's a good thing, but you don't want to invest too much into it,
Yeah.
because if you get rejected, you are wondering, why am I not good enough? Am I not attractive enough? And dating app shouldn't be your only source of meeting people.
That's true.
Every now and
That's
then you
true.
should also go out, get some
Yeah.
social skills in, meet
Okay.
people out there as well.
That's interesting. We will come to your final take, and before we do that, we just like to give a shout out to our sponsors for today's program, NK Fitness. Summer is coming up, and you need a body. Even if not for summer at all, you need to get your sanity and your health back on track. You can do that. Just contact NK Fitness. You can find them on Instagram, NK underscore Derek, NK underscore Derek. And also our very own Steamboat Media, who happens to be the production house that is doing this wonderful job for us. They are our backbone. Without them, there's nothing we can do. And for all your photo shoots, your video recordings, and music videos, and what have you, just make sure you also contact us at underscore Steamboat. That's our Instagram handle, underscore Steamboat. And we will do a very good job. We can come to you wherever you are, and we will make sure that we make you happy. But before we go, I'd like to get your take on this. Traditional dating and dating apps. What would you go for?
I think it would depend on the era that we live in. Right now, traditional dating is hard. It's that's what these dating app came about, because traditional dating is really hard because of the life right now,
Okay.
because you work a lot, you have no choice. You get home, you're tired, you want to rest or you want to do something, you don't really get to meet a lot of people. It's usually the people in, I wouldn't even say neighborhood, that that only applies to people who own houses.
Yeah,
If you live in an apartment, you don't really have people living in your neighborhood that you can just walk out and tell.
that's
It
right.
doesn't work like that. um and I also feel like traditionally back then it was like you had your neighborhood, you work, you go outside, you meet your neighbors, you talk, your workplace, you meet people as well. But now you don't really have that. You don't get to meet that many people, so dating app for most people is an easier way to do it. So for me, I would still prefer the traditional way where you get out there, meet somebody, so you get to talk to them.
Yeah,
You really, you're talking to the person, not just a dating app where you start off with text and you don't even know how the person sounds or what they actually look like, or are you being catfished. So
I like that term.
so I think I would go with traditional dating where you meet the person, you talk to them in person, get to know them, and go from there, rather than looking at the screen texting and hoping you are talking to that person that
That's
you
right.
think you are talking to.
That's right.
So yeah, but unfortunately that's where we are now. And I think we can still do both: traditional dating, get out there, meet people, and also you can be on dating apps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. this is where we draw the curtain down. And just a little bit of sidebar for you. In this era, it is easy to get confused when you try these dating apps. However, as we discussed, if you get all the necessary education, you put in the work to do all the research, you can find happiness out there, because there's been great stories that have come out of these dating apps. But for me, I prefer traditional because I'm old school. But hey, I'm not you. So we're just going to leave the ball in your court. You decide. But the little piece of advice that we're going to give to you today is make sure you watch out. Be yourself. Be natural. Don't fake anything. Because in the end, it will come back to bite you. Thank you once again, Mr. Amisa.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great
pleasure.
time with you, and we hope to bring you on board some other time.
Definitely.
All right.
I'll be
Thank
here
you so
anytime
much.
you call on me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we come to the end of the show today. And make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification button and share it. And God bless you all. Have a fruitful week.